SM3 students, welcome to your first lesson of the school year. I just wanted to let you know your lessons are going to be divided up into increments of about 6 to 8 minutes each. Canvas won't allow YouTube videos that are longer than 8 minutes. And so a lesson could be anywhere from 2 to 6 different pieces of the lesson. So just keep that in mind when you're watching it. Okay, also, almost forgot, every once in a while I'm going to throw in an extra credit word. And what I mean by that is, say like I'm in the middle of the lesson and I might say, okay, the extra credit word is Jack Black. And if you get that, if you see that, I want you to email me that and you'll get extra credit. And this tells me that you're actually watching my videos. So I don't do that with every lesson, but I will do that occasionally. Okay, this also keeps me from going over 8 minutes. So if you see me walking around with this, I'm just trying hard to stay within my time that I've got. Okay, chapter 2. We're not starting with chapter 1, we're starting with chapter 2. And we're going to be covering these different units. Parent functions and transformations, transformations of linear and absolute value functions, modeling with linear functions, solving linear systems, transformations and characteristics of quadratic functions. We're going to start with 2.3, go to 2.4, then we're going to jump and do these. So they really don't build on each other very much, so it's okay for us to be jumping around. Okay, so we're going to start with 2.3, modeling with linear functions. This should look familiar. Y equals mx plus b. When I was teaching this to younger kids, I tried to help them remember that the m is the slope. I called it a slopem. And this is the y-intercept. I called it the y-intercept. I know it's really dumb. But if you have a hard time remembering, maybe that'll help you remember which one's which. Okay, so what we're going to do is there are 3 different things that we're just going to briefly review. 2.3 is basically a review. First of all, they're asking you to write a line, an equation for a line, given certain information. So if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, b, then you use the slope-intercept form. You drop it in there pretty easily. Okay? The next thing is if you're given the slope and a point, then you use the point-slope form. And one thing I wanted to show you, because sometimes these are hard to remember, one thing I wanted to show you is where this came from. The equation for the slope is basically, I'm going to do just y. The change in y over the change in x, right? Y minus y over x minus x. Well, if I multiply, these are kind of automatically put into parentheses based on the numerator and the denominator, okay? But if I multiply both sides by the denominator here, okay, these cancel, and I'm just going to switch these 2 around. Okay, I have my point-slope form. So that's where it comes from. It comes from the equation to find the slope of a line. Okay. Next, if we're given 2 points, okay, first you find the slope of the formula. You use the slope formula to find m, and then you use the point-slope form for either of these points. I know I'm going through this kind of fast. You can find this on page 56. Now we'll do some examples. Okay, so write a linear equation given the following information. So we have the slope and we have the y-intercept. So we're going to use y equals mx plus b. And all we have to do in this situation is just drop it in. So y equals negative 3x plus 7. All right, So I want you guys to just quickly pause your video and just try this. It should take you about 10 seconds. Okay, so again, we've got the y-intercept and we've got the slope. And I threw this one in, not that I'm trying to be tricky, but I did want you to kind of pay attention when it's asking for the slope and when it's asking for the y-intercept. So what we have here, the slope is -3. So it's -3x, and the y-intercept is 2/3. I think we get used to seeing the slope as a fraction, but in this case, it's the y-intercept, it's the fraction. So anyway, hope that wasn't too tricky. Okay, so the next part that we talked about is how to write the equation of a line given the slope and a point. And this is when we use the point slope formula. Let me get it different. That one's not working too well. There we go. Okay, so we've got the slope. Here's my x value, here's my y value, actually my x1 and my y1. So we've got y minus y1 is 3 equals my slope times x minus a -8. So minus times a minus is a positive. All right, we could leave it like this. Most of the time though, people still put it into slope-intercept form. So to do that, we just distribute. So y minus 3 equals 1/4 x plus 2. And then I'm just going to add 3 to both sides. So y equals 1/4 x plus 5. Okay. So again, I'd like you to just take a second, pause, and try this one, and put this in slope-intercept form. And we're going to do that in the next video.